When you're in the position of being a chronically single man, it's hard not to fall in love with any woman that's nice to you, even if it's their job. Because usually most females in customer service positions don't even show me kindness. It's literally their job to make customers happy. But soon as they see a guy like me, I guess all that goes out the window. But there are times on very rare occasion where a woman will be nice to me. Not even like she's being extra nice, but just anytime a woman actually treats me like I'm a human being, anytime that happens, it's hard not to fall in love. I replay those moments in my head over and over and over again. It's life fuel for me. A couple weeks ago, a girl smiled at me for the first time in I don't even know how long. And it was maybe a little bit more than just a smile, but I'll get into it here in a second. But yeah, ever since then, I can't stop thinking about her. I know it wasn't like she was trying to give me a sign. She was just being friendly. She was at work, probably new to the job, so she hasn't figured out yet that she doesn't have to be nice to sub fives. Or maybe she's just a nice person. People like that do exist, I guess. I just don't run into them very often. But yeah, so I was at the grocery store the other day. The same grocery store where I had the whole incident where I tried to ask a girl that worked there where the toothbrushes were, and she acted like I'm some kind of monster or something. But I was at the grocery store. I had my baby cousin with me. He's almost 2 years old, but it was just me and him. We're picking up groceries for the whole family, me, my mom, and my cousin. And we were using the race car buggy, or the race car shopping cart, for those of you unfortunate enough to live outside of God's country. So I always try to make it fun for my cousin. So I'm zooming around, and I'm making engine noises like, vroom, vroom. I'm doing all that while my cousin's playing with the steering wheel, and he's pretending to honk the horn and everything. It's adorable. It's adorable. It is messed up that I was kind of forced into this situation where I end up having to be kind of a father figure when I don't even have my own shit together. But at the same time, I am happier when I'm with him because I get to see him experience that childlike wonder. He gets hyped as fuck just seeing a cool balloon or like if a school bus drives by or something. He gets so excited at things like that. And it kind of, I'm able to sort of live vicariously through his eyes when I see him like that. So, it's kind of nice. But anyways, we're in the produce section. I'm buying some potatoes, and I give my cousin a potato to hold on to because he always likes to hold on to different items as we're shopping. But I look up for a second, and probably about 50 feet away, I'm not really good at judging distances, but she was kind of far away, like on the opposite end of the produce section. I look up, and this girl was walking by, and we made eye contact. She was already looking in my direction when I looked up, but I didn't think anything of it. I figured she's just looking at my cousin because he's a cute baby. Women like babies. They don't seem to like having them anymore. The birth rate is catastrophically low. It's probably going to have devastating effects in the future. But nevertheless, women do like babies when they don't have to take care of them. So I didn't think much of it. I mean, she was probably just glancing in my general direction for no particular reason. Then I looked up, and it's just like an automatic response for her to make eye contact for a second. But me, being a touch-starved excess man, you know, I noticed it because she didn't look away immediately. And that's the thing. I looked up and we made eye contact, and I looked away after a second, but she still hadn't looked away. She had time to look away, and usually that's what most women would have done if they looked over and they saw a bald, nearly middle-aged, sub-5 man like myself looking back at them. Most women would recoil in disgust. I've seen it happen. But at the very least, she didn't react like I'm a monster. So I couldn't help but notice that. And she worked there, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that yet. She was probably early 20s. If I had to guess, I'd say she was 21, 22 years old. And she was cute. She was cute. But, whatever. She obviously isn't attracted to me. She's a young woman in the prime of her life. I'm me. I'm old. I'm 37, but I'm also just not good looking either. So, yeah, I continued shopping. Probably about 5 minutes go by. I'm over at the meats trying to select a package of ground beef to make some chopped cheese. It's basically like a cheeseburger on a hoagie. It's a New York thing, I guess. I'm not from there, but I visited one time, and I do like the chopped cheese, and it's easy to cook, but I digress. So I looked up, and again, I see this same girl in the distance. Now she's walking the other way, but again, she was looking in my direction. And again, we made eye contact. But this time, she looked away first, but it wasn't instant. It lingered. The eye contact lingered. Okay, she lingered, I lingered, we both lingered. Not for long, but there was a lingering, enough that I noticed it. And I think I detected a very slight smile. I'm not 100% sure about that. I could be wrong, but I think she smiled. But again, I'm over here with an adorable toddler sitting there in the race car buggy, one hand holding his potato, the other hand working the steering wheel like he's freaking Jeff Gordon. And every now and then he's hitting the horn going beep, 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 beep. I mean, that's what she was smiling at. Not me. It's obvious she's looking in my direction because of the baby, not because of the bald loser. Just thinking this through logically, I think it's kind of obvious what she was looking at and what it was that would have made her smile. But she did make eye contact with me. And there was a lingering. Okay, I did notice the lingering of the eye contact. So that did happen. Another 5 to 10 minutes goes by. I was over at the cheese area looking for some store brand American cheese. I see the cheese I want, and it's on the bottom shelf, and it's kind of wedged down in there, so I had to bend over and really reach in there to grab it. Well, as I'm grabbing the cheese, all of a sudden I hear just the most sweetest, most angelic voice saying, "Hi, how are you doing?" And it obviously wasn't for me. She couldn't have been talking to me because I had my head literally inside the cheese fridge. Why would you try to greet somebody that's looking the opposite direction, like bent over facing the fridge, head inside the fridge? Like that wouldn't even make sense, right? But I turned around as I heard it, that angelic, sweet voice. I turned around, store brand cheese in hand. "Hi, how are you doing?" And when I turned around, what I saw was, it was that same girl, and she was walking past me. So she's like walking by behind me because I was facing away from the aisle, facing against the fridge. Matter of fact, she had already made it like 2 or 3 steps past me by the time I looked. But you know what I saw when I looked up? She was looking right at me, looking me dead in the eye, with a smile on her face that perfectly matched the very sweet tone of voice she had spoken with. Just, "Hi, how are you doing?" She was talking to me, and she was smiling. It took me off guard because the tone of voice, I swear to God, that tone of voice sounded like the way a woman talks to a man seconds before she gets fertilized. Or, I don't know, that's probably an exaggeration, but she just said it in such a sweet sounding way, and she was smiling at me. And again, she had already made it slightly past me as she was walking, so she had her head turned around just to look at me, and she had a big, very sweet smile on her face, and it looked like she was blushing. That could have just been makeup, I'm not sure. but it looked like she was blushing with her smile. Now, of course, oh, I did say, I'm good, thank you. So I did respond, and she just kept walking. But sure, she works there. It's part of her job, I'm sure, to say hello to any customer she walks past. So I know logically that's all it was. But part of me can't help but wonder, maybe she saw me from a distance, saw that I'm with this adorable toddler. Obviously, she's going to assume I'm his dad. So to her, that gives me social proof. When she sees me with my cousin, she's thinking, okay, that is a man that has been chosen. He is already pre-approved by some woman somewhere. And because there was some distance between us when she first saw me, she probably couldn't make out all the details. So maybe she thought I might be good looking. All she could really tell from that distance was that I'm kind of tall and I have a baby with me, social proof, plus height. Maybe she was attracted to me. Or she was attracted to what she thought I was from a distance. Probably not. Like, thinking about it now, it's actually kind of stupid to think that. But if you had heard the way that she said, "Hi, how are you doing?" Like, I know she was just being nice. Okay, I know that, obviously. She was just being nice as part of her job. But I'm so lonely and starved for affection, I can't stop thinking about this girl. Like, I'll just be sitting there cooking oatmeal or something, and in my head, I'm imagining our wedding night. I'll be washing dishes, and I'll just be lost in thought thinking about, what are we going to name our kids? Like, just the most pathetic, delusional thoughts. But I can't stop thinking about her. I can't stop thinking about that moment when I turned around with my store brand cheese and I saw this store brand angel looking right at me, smiling the sweetest smile I've had directed toward me in probably 20 years. And it's crazy because this is the same exact grocery store where not that long ago, a female worker there treated me like I'm a criminal just because I dared to ask her where the toothbrushes were located. But hey, you know what they say, Kroger giveth and Kroger taketh away. And before anyone leaves any comments like, you got to go back and talk to her. You got to try to talk to her. This is your chance. Listen, she's a young, relatively attractive woman with her whole life ahead of her. And I'm me. As much as I do have that small part of me that's delusional enough to entertain the idea that maybe she was trying to give me a sign, I know that that's not what it was. She was just being nice. And that's good. More people should be nice to each other like that. That should be the standard as far as I'm concerned. The way I usually get treated by women, which is just to be completely ignored, nobody should have to go through that. That should not be the standard. And she's probably new there. She probably just started working there like 2 days before this happened, so she was still all gung-ho about doing a good job and greeting every single customer and everything. Next time I see her there, assuming she keeps working there, I probably will see her again. I guarantee the next time I see her there, she probably won't even look at me. She was just being nice, and I know that. But it made my day. Shit, it made my year. I'm going to be thinking about this probably for years to come. That's how starved for affection I am. It's crazy how the human brain can take something so small and insignificant, like a simple greeting, and turn that into a years-long fantasy. But that's what happens when you're a chronically lonely man. I know I'm not the only one. I know some of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like 15 years ago when I worked in that fast food restaurant. I told this story on here not too long ago, but there was a girl I worked with that I think she liked me because she would always talk to me and joke around with me, and I would kind of flirt with her as best as I knew how, and she always seemed receptive to it. but nothing ever happened, of course. There was one time she gave me a ride home, and looking back, I'm pretty sure she wanted to come inside, but I didn't pick up on the signals in the moment. And I guess this was probably more than just her being nice. But point is, I still think about her all the time. I still spend easily hours of my time over the course of any given week just imagining all the different scenarios that could have been if I had just asked her if she wanted to come in. And this was, I think, 16 years ago, because I was probably 21 at the time, and I still dream about her. And not just that particular moment where she gave me a ride home, but my lonely, touch-starved brain is just always concocting all these different scenarios where we'll be at work and something happens between us. And most of these scenarios do start with something that really happened. Like, there was one time when she kind of got her hands wet in the sink, and then she touched my chest to get my shirt wet. And we had been flirting a lot that day. And over the past decade and a half, I've probably dreamed up hundreds of different scenarios about what could have happened after that if I had maybe escalated with more touching, or I don't know, if I had just made a move, basically, or if she had made a move. It's crazy that I still think about this even today. I'm pretty sure I'll never stop fantasizing about this girl and these specific moments that were probably nothing to her. As many different fantasies I've come up with about how things could have gone down, I bet she's had that many real-life experiences like that with other guys since then. I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't even remember my name. She would probably remember me, but she might have to think real hard to remember my name. Meanwhile, I'm over here thinking about her all the time. Still, 15, 16 years later. I'm kind of curious if this is actually just me being a psycho, or if this is actually a common experience for guys in the chronically lonely position. Let me know in the comments if any of y'all do this too, where you still think about a certain girl from years ago that you never actually had any kind of relationship with, because I don't think it's uncommon. I think this is probably the standard for excess males, because you gotta think, it is just a part of human psychology, for men at least, where we have that biological drive to crave women, to desire women. So for those of us that are not able to fulfill those urges, it just makes sense that our brains would default to thinking about the last time we came close. Or not even came close, but just the last time a woman even showed us any kindness at all. You know, for me, that's the closest I get. And even that's rare. Like this girl a few weeks ago that smiled at me at the grocery store and, she said, "Hi, how are you doing?" Even just that. I don't get that, like, ever. Women do not smile at me and ask me how I'm doing in a sweet voice. I can't even remember the last time before this when a woman spoke to me in a sweet voice. Other than LaFonda, I guess, but that was, I don't really think about her too much. Sometimes, but she literally ripped me off for chicken wings and a Sprite from DoorDash, so that kind of changed how I view every previous interaction I had with her. I can't imagine having an intimate moment with her anymore because it just isn't realistic enough, I guess. I don't know. But this girl from the grocery store, imagine if she knew the impression she left on me. There's no way that, as a young woman, she could even imagine how much space she's taking up in my mind just because she was nice to me. Because she probably has people being that nice to her every single day, multiple times per day. But for me, it was a unique moment. It stands out for me, and it's probably going to continue to stand out in my mind for years to come. Just the way she said it, I don't think I'll ever forget that. She probably didn't even mean to sound that sweet. It was probably an accident, but I can't stop thinking about it. If I had a recording of when she said that, honestly, I would probably never go browsing for a certain kind of media online again because hearing her say that in that sweet voice, "Hi, how are you doing today?" That's better. I could live off that, because that was for me. Even though I know she didn't mean anything by it, I know she was just doing her job, but at the end of the day, I'm a human. I'm a man. When you break it all down to its basic parts, a man is just a collection of systems and processes, and Shawty got these processes working overtime. Talking about Shawty got these systems torqued up. You know, I'm not trying to obsess over it, but how could I not? How could I not fall in love with a girl when she's the only female in the past several years that's even shown me an ounce of kindness? And yeah, there was LaFonda, there was Single Mother. Even Single Mother did show me some kindness, but those moments are all corrupted because of how things turned out. But this grocery store girl is still pure. I can still build scenarios out of that moment. I can still dream about what could have happened. And again, this is just automatic. I'm not trying to think about her all the time. I can't help it. I'm just that starved for affection. I mean, what do you expect to happen when a physically healthy man with a functioning libido never gets to fulfill those certain needs? What do you expect? Of course, my brain is going to go haywire and obsess over any woman that's nice to me. That's a no-brainer. Of course that's going to happen. Because women are never nice to me like that. If this kind of thing happened more often, which I'm sure it does for lots of people, but if women were nice to me on a semi-frequent basis, then I don't think it would leave such a lasting impression on me. But I'm starving. So what do you expect? If all I got to eat for the past 37 years was unseasoned brown rice, and I never even got to eat enough of it to get full, but then one day I got to have a little bit of salt and pepper on my rice, you better believe I'd be dreaming about that salty, peppery rice for the rest of my days. Of course I would. That's how it is when you're starving and then you get a little taste of what you're biologically supposed to have. You can't stop thinking about it because your body knows that it came closer than ever before to actually getting what it craves, what it needs. So, of course, I can't stop thinking about her. I'm sure it sounds insane if you're a guy that's actually been with a woman in the not too distant past, but for a guy that's been chronically lonely his whole life, you're bound to fall in love with any woman that's nice to you. You can't help it. If anything I said resonates with you, or if you found this thought-provoking, please check out some of my other videos. There's also some secret videos you can watch for free on my Patreon. No sign-up required. Link in the description. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.